I recorded this in reaction to what Mukoma wa Ngugi, son of Ngugi wa Thiong'o, talked about his father recently. I don't want to go into detail on what Mukoma Ngugi said, but in brief, he talked of a bad relationship between his mother and his father. I have recorded, of course you know, I've recorded about why Ngugi wa Thiong'o and his latest wife were viciously attacked at a hotel not very far from KBC. I want to repeat it in brief to show that what I had recorded goes hand in hand with what Mukoma wa Ngugi has talked over 6 months after I had said. Mukoma wa Ngugi is saying that the relationship between his parents was very violent, and he noticed how his father used to harass his mother, his late mother. That one shows that the relationship was bitter. But let me not talk about what he said, because what he said tends to confirm what I had recorded earlier. In brief, let me just put it this way, that the special branch went so low, the lowest of the lowest, that, and I'm not proud of it. In fact, I apologize for that. In that when Ngugi wa Thiong'o used to have his Kamiridhu theater group, we sent our people to try and find out. But you see, it was a bit hard to find out because Ngugi's team was composed of very loyal people, Kikuyu male chauvinists, people who kept secrets, people who would rather die than explain what was happening. So, Special Branch wanted to know who was meeting who and what was being discussed. But it was a completely difficult to penetrate that group. And that is when they recruited Mrs. Ngugi wa Thiong'o. I'm repeating what I had said. They recruited Mrs. Ngugi wa Thiong'o and made her an agent of monitoring her husband. Our people wanted to know what was being discussed and everything. But Mrs. Ngugi wa Thiong'o said that it was a group of male chauvinists to an extent that whenever she would bring drinks or even food for the group, they would say, "Keep quiet, there is a woman around, let us wait for her." So she would come, serve them while they were silent. After she leaves, and that is when they start talking. So she was recruited and told, we just want to know a few points. We want to know when the meeting started and when the meeting ended and who were present. So she would say the meeting started at 8, ended at 5, and the people who were present was Albert, Benson, Charles, David, Edward, and Francis. That was just that. And then our people would try and get those people, A, B, C, D, E, F. And everyone would be cornered and said, "We know you met at Ngugi wa Thiong'o's place and we want you to confirm what would happen." But these people knowing each other, these people being whatever, they would rather die than disclose what they were meeting. But somehow they went and met and told each other, including Ngugi wa Thiong'o, that whatever we meet here is usually known by the intelligence. The intelligence knows whom we are meeting and whatever. So Ngugi and his team did their own investigations, and it was discovered that the person who was passing the information was Mrs. Ngugi wa Thiong'o. As a result, Ngugi decided to run away and go into exile. Went into exile, and in exile he met another Kenyan lady, or could I say he met another Kikuyu lady and married her. She is now his wife. So when the first wife died, when he was abroad, he stayed for so many years. But when he came back to Kenya, he asked to have a private, when he was at her grave, he asked people to go away, and he remains with the grave alone. So whatever he may have said or whatever was in his heart, only him and God and maybe the departed lady knows what was contained. Now, in my first tape, I had said the reasons that made Mrs. Ngugi wa Thiong'o II to be viciously attacked. And this is what happened. When Ngugi wa Thiong'o was abroad and he was coming to Kenya, he organized with a nephew who is a politician, a nephew of his first wife. Now, the nephew of the first wife was to organize when they will arrive in Kenya, which taxi will get them from the airport to which hotel, and so on and so forth. And so you can understand why Mrs. Ngugi wa Thiong'o number 2 was very hostile to this person, because she believes, and I also believe, that he is the one who organized for the attack at Norfolk Hotel. Lastly, as I said in the other tape, I said that, and this is the advice I usually give to watchmen. You see, that place had so many watchmen more than required. So what they used to do was they would organize that since let's say the place has 7 guards, but to them they could guard the place for 6 people. So they would organize one of them immediately after the vehicle supervising them has checked with them and gone. Then this guard would go, one of them would go home. So instead of you having 1 night off per week, you would have 2 nights off. One of the guards, one of the watchmen, who is a Bukusu, that was his day off. And after the vehicle came and he signed in the forms to show that he was at the hotel, he then went home and stayed there for 2 days. What a big mistake. The watchman is rotting in jail. I was with Peter Uko, and I was with Ndrendende at Dr. Kingori's Wicked Edition, and they proved to me that there are so many capital offenders who are in jail wrongly. Take an example of that person, that Bukusu watchman. Just because that day he was not around, and whatever happened, he could not, and he will never tell anybody that I had sneaked that day. All watchmen were charged with that, but the truth of the matter is that Ngugi wa Thiong'o organized, he made a nephew of the first Mrs. Ngugi to be the organizer of everything to do with their trip. And you see, he as a family, especially the family on Mrs. Ngugi wa Thiong'o first, were bitter that Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o had issues with his wife. Now, 6 months after I had uploaded that video, his own son, Mukoma wa Ngugi, who was born in 1971, has confirmed what I had said. That's all.